Legitimate response.
Today, the American people lost.
The Inflation Reduction Act.
It will absolutely
Paralyze American people.
The Inflation Reduction Act.
$737 billion, $369 billion, and $64 billion to the $437 billion spending package.
87,000 IRS agents.
Is a historic piece of legislation.
It's historic. It's not historic.
It's huge.
It's a small step.
Oh, it was just a great moment.
The new law is
just a marketing tool.
Completely marketing tool.
I imagine nobody would be surprised to find out that the Inflation Reduction Act has nothing to do with inflation at all, that it's mainly focused on the climate. And to put that in a practical conception, that's kind of like me saying, hey, look, I'm about to go cut the grass.
Because it's so consequential, John. I mean, the fact that this is the biggest movement on climate of any White House by 10 times 10.
Don't forget times infinity.
+1.
Bigger than any country has done. And the president is really obsessed and focused and really has all of these bills have been focused on how we lower costs for real people. And this will be huge for people. So I don't know.
The electric vehicle credits coming online immediately. The ACA Affordable Care Act tax credits, they're coming on in January 2023. Free vaccines under Medicare, January. $35 insulin cap under Medicare, January. These are things like that's moving. Those things are coming online pretty quickly.
It lowers healthcare costs. It combats climate change, raises taxes on large companies and anybody making over $400K a year, and it reduces the deficit. A lot of people have been saying President Biden finally got a win here, but take a look at this graphic. I referenced it in my conversation with Jamie Harrison. We have it now. The White House is planning to emphasize that the president has delivered on promises that he made on the campaign trail.
It may have been shocking to some people, but it really wasn't all that shocking to me to find out that Msnbc's reporting on this was a bit overzealous, like with this graphic right here. Now, because of what's on this, we're going to go over this and see how ridiculous it really is. Okay, so first up we got the Inflation Reduction Act, which is the basis for this video, so we're going to skip that one because I'm going to get to that later. Second one is the CHIPS Act. Now, if you want to call this one a win, you can. You give them that one. That does a lot to ensure that we have microchips for all kinds of stuff. There's a lot that goes into it. I'm not going to get into it. We'll just say that's a win. Good job, Joe Biden. Next one, the FACT Act, Fair and Accurate Credit Transactions Act. That was passed by Congress and it was signed into law by President George W. Bush. So how is that a win for Joe Biden? That was in 2003. Next, we have some bipartisan gun laws, which makes it a little bit harder to purchase a gun, more mental health scans, and blah, blah, blah bullshit. I wouldn't call that one a win. The fifth thing they put on the damn list is he killed somebody. How is that a win? Please explain that one to me, MSNBC. How is it a win to kill somebody? I don't care if he was a terrorist or not. You killed somebody. What the fuck? Here we go. Gas prices plummeted. Now, considering they went up by over 200% and have came down a little bit, I wouldn't call that plummeting. We're still over twice the amount it was. We're still at like 3 something a gallon, Joe. Thanks for that one. Next, they list huge job numbers. Really, huge job numbers. I wonder where they're getting this number from, because we're still lower on jobs than before Joe came into office, so I wouldn't call that a win either. That looks like some bullshit to me. The next one is low unemployment. Really? You're going to put huge job numbers, then low unemployment? How stupid do you think the American people are? Whatever. Next one is a huge win, is the confirmation of Judge Ketanji Jackson. I don't see how that's a win for Joe, but he did something. I guess that's good. Which, she seems to be a pretty good justice, by the way. Next is support for Ukraine. Okay, now I don't know of anybody that thinks war is good. Now, supporting Ukraine, in my personal opinion, it's not a bad thing. They had no business going into Ukraine. They have no business still being there, bastards. But I wouldn't call that one a win for Joe Biden. They were invaded by Russia on some BS. You know, Russia's talking about there's Nazis and all this crap in Ukraine. And next is expanding NATO. Now, NATO has been a pretty good alliance. I don't see anything wrong with it. However, it has come to my attention that it is currently outdated. But I understand why it's there and why they're expanding it. But to say that's a win for Joe Biden, no, that's not a win for Joe Biden. That's a win for those countries that are joining NATO. Next, they list the American Rescue Plan. Okay, so now this is where it gets funny, because the American Rescue Plan is the whole reason we have the inflation, we have the high gas numbers, we have all this BS that's going on right now. So to call that a win, that is completely ridiculous. And that one actually pisses me off. I mean, imagine the people that watch only Msnbc. They've got to be some of the most brainwashed people in the country, because that is retarded. I'm sorry. Then we have some infrastructure reform, which that also adds to the damn inflation. That didn't do anything. Most of that was freaking dumb stuff like tree equity. Like, what the hell are y'all doing on Capitol Hill? Tree equity? Really? Next is we have the Senate update to the electoral count. Okay, calling this a win for Joe Biden is the same as calling Operation Warp Speed a win for Joe Biden. Joe didn't have anything to do with this except for signing off on it. This was put together. The two main senators that done this was Susan Collins and Joe Manchin. Joe Biden wasn't mentioned at all in this. And they listed all of the senators that were involved with this, and there's quite a few of them. But the two main ones are Susan Collins and Joe Manchin, which, I mean, we'll call that a win for the Senate. Now, just for fairness purposes, all of the legacy news media exaggerated it one way or another, but MSNBC was the most consistent with their propaganda, I guess, because that's all it really is propaganda, to the point to where they were lying about a lot of stuff. And this topic has so much substance to it. I didn't plan on making this video based around that graphic that you've been seeing throughout this whole thing. Didn't plan on that, but there was so much to unpack with just that. I had to make this into a separate video, so this will be part one of a two-part series. The second part is mostly going to focus on the Inflation Reduction Act itself and the substance of that act and what it does and does not do. But there is a bit of good news to this. Don't know if everybody's heard, but CNN got a new CEO recently, and they have been booting out some of these propagandists, is all I can really say. Because CNN has been really bad with it too, and they didn't make this video because of that. The last relic, Brian Stelter, has now left CNN. So hopefully CNN's new CEO can turn this thing around and bring CNN back to what it was supposed to be. And maybe we can start trusting CNN a lot more now. Well, that's pretty much going to be it for this one. Stay tuned for the next part, because there's a lot of BS propaganda going around about this Inflation Reduction Act that needs to get out there, that I feel a lot of people aren't seeing, just based off of some of the debate going back and forth with this. So I will say to everybody, thanks for watching. I've had a little bit of boost in subscribers the past week or so, and my views have gone up a little bit too, and that's much appreciated. We're going to try to keep pushing and try to keep making that get higher and higher. I'm just loving doing this for some reason. So thanks for watching, everybody. Y'all be good and stay positive. Peace.